Animarak in the house. Thank you so much for joining us, representing Phoenix, Arizona, by way of Minnesota. Animarak, how are you doing on this Thursday evening?
Doing great, Jimmy. Always happy to be on the show. And don't worry about it. I get it. There's a crap ton of stuff going on. And welcome back football season. I love it.
Thank you so much for your patience. But let's get right to work. Set the scene for us. Where are we this weekend in UFC?
We're headed to South America, Uruguay. The UFC is headed all the way down there. And fun facts about Uruguay. They are South America's second smallest country, and they actually have the world's longest national anthem. A couple cool things about Uruguay is marijuana is legal, and they're one of the largest distributors of wine in South America, so it's going to be one hell of a party after these guys brawl.
That does sound very nice. That does sound very nice. Well, let's get right to work. SBR odds. I'm going to pull up the fight odds for UFC. Let's see what we're looking at first. Let's go with Viana versus Veronica Macedo. Macedo opening up at plus 115, and she's become the favorite. Wow. A 42-cent move towards Veronica. What is your angle? What is your bet on this?
Well, SBR is running a little bit slow on this fight, Jimmy. It says she opened up at plus 115. She opened at plus 170, and that's where this guy got her. So I crushed that line move. This girl should not be the underdog in this fight, and it's been a landslide of money on her. She's completely well-rounded in every aspect of the game, and she's only 23 years old. She's 0-3 in the UFC, and that's why she opened up in the dog in the first place. But the reason that she's 0-3 in the UFC is she's fought nothing but monsters, and she's fighting a weight class up of where she naturally should be. Her opponent, on the other hand, Viana, only has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to her name. And let's be real, her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu resume is a little swollen. It's not something that she utilizes well in the cage. She's not a well-rounded mixed martial artist. She leaves her hands down. She's very hittable, and she's coming in on short notice. So not only is she going to be hittable, she doesn't have many options in this fight besides the ground, but she's going to have gas tank issues, and she's had no time to prepare for her opponent. I am all over the dog now, who is now the favorite, but I am rocking with Macedo.
Nice find. Wow. Macedo at that giant plus line. Yeah, because I'm using the Bet Online opener, and Bet Online opened at plus 115. But as we have seen, huge market moves in UFC, and you have to listen to the Die Hard MMA podcast. Star of that is our guest on the show right now, and that's how you can get advantages and get on these lines early. Let's move on to the next female fight here. We have Marina Rodriguez versus Tecia Torres. Tecia Torres opening up minus 145, now at minus 154. A 9-cent move towards Tecia Torres. Do you agree with this move? How are you handling this fight?
Well, before we hop off the last one, I want to let you all know there's one more thing I'm going to be sprinkling on this one. It's not an official pick, but you can get my girl Macedo inside the distance at plus 350, and I will have a little bit riding on that. Just a heads up. Moving on to our girl Tecia Torres here, I completely agree with the line movement. She's only been beaten by the elite fighters in the division. Now, her opponent is undefeated, but everybody's got to take that first loss sometime. I'm a huge fan of fading people when they take a step up in competition, and this is one hell of a step up in competition. Basically, Torres is the ultimate gatekeeper in this division. You get a title shot if you can beat her, and that's just kind of how it rolls. I don't put her opponent in the type of company that the title picture looks like here. I think she gets back on track after dropping a couple of tough fights.
Backing Tecia Torres. I like it. There are the first two fights on our guy Animarak's card. What is next is Gilbert Byrnes up against Alexei Kunchenko. Kunchenko opening up at minus 155, now at minus 148. There's been a 7-cent move towards Gilbert Byrnes. How are you handling this bout?
I'm on the dog, Jimmy. I am on that move towards Gilbert Byrnes. I love him here in this fight. He's stepping up on short notice to fight Kunchenko. And even though I said that was a negative in the other fight a little earlier this card, it's actually a positive in this case. I think he's going to be underestimated because he's on short notice. He's a massive 155-pound fighter, and he's moving up to face this guy at 170. Now, Kunchenko, while he's 20-0 and has some serious knockout power in his hands, he's very slow and plodding. Gilbert Byrnes is going to have a speed advantage on him. And if this hits the ground, it's not likely to, but if it does, that's where Gilbert does his best work. I think Gilbert can stick and move his way to a decision here. He's not out of the world of knocking this guy out. He's got some heat in his hands. And then if it hits the ground, I think Gilbert can get the sub. Basically, I see all kinds of paths to victory for Gilbert Byrnes and not nearly as many for Konchenko. I think the wrong guy is favored. They're underestimating my guy Byrnes. And we have seen what some of the bigger lightweights can do when they move up to 170. Anthony Showtime Pettis. We saw what happened to poor Ben Askren when he got kneed in the head. We also saw guys like Diaz. I mean, these 155ers are no joke, and they're huge, and they cut tons of weight. When he gets up here to 170, I don't think he's going to look out of place. Now, I mentioned before he was coming in on short notice. His little brother just made his UFC Contender debut, and you know he's working his little brother. You know he's in there training with him. So it's not like this dude's just coming off the couch. He's going to be ready. I like the dog at plus 130.
Backing the dog, the first dog on the card. And we have a very special omen for all of us. The Lowbag family has grown. Matt Randall says, baby Briggs is here and healthy. Mom is doing great. And then he says, Clint, this is going to be your weekend, bro. The guy has his baby,
shit.
and he says, Clint, this is going to be your weekend, bro. Wow, so much love to you, Matt Randall. Baby Briggs is here. What a wonderful, wonderful time, and what just wonderful energy to be around, man. That makes me so happy. What a guy. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Baby Briggs is here. Briggs just born right now. Wow. Congratulations to the Randall family, whom we love dearly. Okay, sorry. We had to talk about that. I mean, his baby's born, and you are the one that he mentions, you know. What a guy Matt Randall is. And what a guy you are, Clint.
Shout out to my guy, Matt Randall. Glad the mom is doing good. Congratulations, buddy, and looking forward to it. I hope that blessing is true.
Oh, that's beautiful. Next up, we have Oscar Pichota and Rodolfo Vieira. Vieira opening at minus 240, now minus 211. A 29-cent move towards Pichota. How are you handling this fight?
I don't get the line move, Jimmy. Doesn't make sense. Pichota is not that great of a fighter. He's got a serious weakness on the ground. He can throw bombs, but he gasses out relatively easy. This dude stepping in here is no joke. Rodolfo Vieira is one of the highest level of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts that you're going to get. And one of his favorite things to do after a Jiu-Jitsu competition is he rips the gi off Superman style, and he's got bigger abs than anybody I have ever seen. The dude is jacked. He's absolutely stacked. So in Pichota's last fight, he got out-grappled by a fighter who never should have out-grappled him. He gave up a whole bunch of easy spots. He gave up a whole bunch of positions. He had his opportunity to submit his opponent and just didn't know how to do it. And then he stood up and was completely worn out after one round of grappling. You're going to put him in there with an absolutely ripped Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who might be one of the most decorated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts we've ever seen in the UFC, and expect him to fare better. I know there's a juicy line when the guy's got punching power, but this ain't it, bro. I'm on the favorite. I'm going to lay the wood at minus 200.
Laying the wood with Rodolfo. And next up, we have Ilir Latifi against Volkan. We have Volkan opening up at minus 150, now at minus 140. 10-cent move towards the dog. How are you handling this fight?
You know what? This is a fight that I've broken down multiple times, Jimmy. They've canceled their last two fights in a row and got them rebooked each time. So I'm not going to change my position. I'm still on Volkan Oezdemir. The dude's fight name is No Time because he's got some of the fastest knockouts the UFC has ever seen. He's got dominant, destructive power in his hands. The dude is something else. And on top of that, he's evolving. He realized he was a one-trick pony, and he's starting to work on other aspects of his game. So he's on a bit of a skid here, but I think this is a perfect bounce-back spot for him. Latifi has never fared well when he's dipped his toe into the deeper end of the 205-pound division, and I don't think this is going to be any different. He's facing a top guy. He's never beaten a top guy before. He's getting old, and one of the reasons one of the last fights got canceled was because he pulled out with a back injury. I think Latifi's old and busted, and Volkan's going to put him away.
Volkan, and there you go. There it is. Glenn Elliott Man says I'd go Volkan on name alone. On name alone. There is the card from Animarak. Man, thank you so much for joining us. We love having you break down these UFC cards so much. Tell us a little bit about the Die Hard MMA podcast and Twitter handle. You can follow Animarak on his personal Twitter handle, Maximus in 3D, but also the Die Hard MMA podcast. Tell us a little bit about that podcast.
That's right, Jimmy. The Die Hard MMA podcast has been running since January this year. We've got a record of 92 and 83 for plus 28.27 units worth of profit since January. Things are going great. We have a whole lot of fun on the podcast. Just recently, I did an interview with UFC fighter Juan Adams. He came on the show. It was my first fighter interview for the entire show. I'm hoping to do more stuff like that. So come hang out. Hit me up at Die Hard MMA Pod on Twitter, and we are just going to absolutely kill it. If you follow me over on my personal, I'm a total geek and nerd. I talk about video games. I play poker, a whole bunch of that kind of stuff. And this weekend, I'm playing in a big-ass poker tournament. So send me some of that energy, diehards and low baggers. I am gonna need it.
That is right. Could you just briefly tell us, because we got to go, but could you just tell us a little bit about that big tourney that you're in? I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's the Arizona State Championship, man. I'm out here in hot as hell, Phoenix, Arizona. It's an annual tournament that they run. It's an $1,100 buy-in. I bought into a $130 satellite and kicked the shit out of 9 other scrubs and took all their money. So I got a ticket to the big show, and top prize is over $250,000. So pretty penny sitting up there, and I'm going for it.
Oh man, well, we will be thinking about you. What time does the tourney start?
It kicks off 9 a.m. on Sunday, and it's 3 days of solid poker. I'll be playing 9 a.m. till about midnight for 3 days in a row, as long as I stay alive.
And you will give us updates?
Hell yeah, I will. And if you guys want to hang out with me and tweet at me, I would appreciate it, because I'm sure I'll get bored a couple times.
Beautiful. There he is, our guy Animarak. Absolutely great breakdown